Okay, so pretend you are at a swimming pool and you take a can of Coca-Cola and pour it all into the pool. Open it up, pour it in. What will happen? Will the Coca-Cola stay in the shape of a can and float around in the pool? Of course not. That is not how this would work. The molecules in the Coke will slowly spread out throughout the pool. They will spread away from each other until they're all an equal distance from each other. This is called diffusion. The process of diffusion is one type of passive transport. And when molecules enter or exit cells using passive transport, the cell does not need to use energy to make that happen. It's like the Coke molecules are diffusing in the pool. There's no outside energy spreading those molecules out. It happens naturally. So passive transport does not need the cell to use energy because it's happening like the Coke in the swimming pool. The concentration of Coke is high right where you poured it into the pool. At the beginning, most of the Coca-Cola is still in a small spot. We would say that is a high concentration of Coke. Over time, it will spread out to a lower concentration from one area to another. The concentration of the Coke is diffusing from a high concentration to a low concentration. So if we think about it like it's in your body, these cells would just be experiencing this diffusion passively. They're not using any of their own energy to get molecules inside or outside the cell. Diffusion can work with small molecules. O2 and CO2 can move through the cell membrane because they are very small. They can sneak right in. If we look at this diagram here, if oxygen is blue and CO2 is red, what will happen with these molecules in this example? Some of the oxygen molecules would diffuse into the cell until the concentration gradients are equal inside and outside. Likewise, some of the carbon dioxide would also diffuse until the concentrations are equal inside the cell and outside the cell. Simple diffusion like that works great for tiny molecules like CO2 and O2. But sometimes things need to get into the cell or out of the cell that are big. This is when the cell would use facilitated diffusion. Larger molecules can't fit through the pores in the cell membrane. Special transport proteins or channels are built into the cell membrane like gates to allow these molecules to get into or out of the cell. Sugar, glucose molecules, are too big to fit through the pores in the cell for simple diffusion. They must travel through a transport protein. Describe what happens to the glucose molecules in this example. The glucose molecules would diffuse through transport proteins or other channels in the cell membrane until the concentrations are equal inside the cell and outside the cell.